Good morning, everyone. I'm Eric Brown, CTO at the Energy Systems Catapult. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to join you today. I'm really pleased to be able to be part of today's EnergyTec conference and to be able to share some thoughts with you about the role that innovation will play in the complex task of achieving net zero. Now, some of you may not be familiar with the Energy Systems Catapult, so I thought I'd start by just making a few brief comments about the work that we do and the nature of the catapult itself. So the catapults are an innovation intervention by government that were established to support creation of sustained economic growth for the UK, and to do that by helping innovators commercialize their good ideas. There are 9 catapults across the economy, all share this goal of economic growth, but the Energy Systems Catapult, in addition, seeks to do that with net zero as a very clear objective, and hence we focus on clean growth. We do our work by collaborating with academia, with government, and with industry, and in all our work, we seek to take a whole systems approach across the whole energy value chain, across all energy sectors and vectors, and addressing not just technology, but also value propositions, business models, systems integration, policy, regulation, and so on. So we have a broad portfolio of projects and initiatives underway, and we're always open to conversations about our work. So please feel welcome to be in touch. Turning to the question for today, how to expedite net zero technology in the UK. This is a question which aligns very well with our mission and our work. If we look across the innovation landscape at a very high level, we recognize the need to do 2 things. First, we need to understand what technology or other interventions are needed to support our vision. And to do that, we can use familiar techniques like techno-economic modeling and so on to reveal what these insights are that we're going to need to move forward. And secondly, once we have this understanding, we can then build an innovation pipeline by encouraging and deploying resources and funding, or applying other mechanisms to provide a sense of direction for that innovation pipeline. Now, this is necessary, but it's not sufficient, and it can lead to innovation, but it doesn't necessarily lead to successful application or uptake or scaling or indeed commercialization, and hence may disappoint us as we pursue net zero. So the question might be, how can we look at this differently? Are there other needed steps that we can explicitly draw out? Can we be more systematic in the approach that we follow? So here we start from the same place. We seek to establish our vision, and we do so using techniques such as techno-economic modeling, with which we're all familiar. And this will help us to understand what we could or should or must do to achieve net zero. We can then consider the market failure we're trying to address and how we can create pull for the innovation as opposed to trying to push it. And one perspective on this, to sort of illustrate what I mean by that, is to be clear about the role of the consumer and how they will engage, or perhaps not engage, with the implied change. Once we understand what market failure we may be trying to address, or as we seek to create a market that's actually going to be addressable, then we then seek to understand what barriers may exist or what enabling conditions need to be in place for the innovation to address that market failure successfully. And several are mentioned here. They span a broad spectrum of considerations, from digital infrastructure to people and skills, from test and demonstration through to policy and regulation. Understanding these enable us to build a pipeline that is much more focused on outcomes and to be clear where, when those innovations are placed in context, there's a likelihood that their path to acceptance and uptake will be much better understood and facilitated. With this, we can then understand how we want to respond. What build or buy decisions do we make with respect to that particular innovation, which is another way of saying what role does the UK want to play in terms of the creation and deployment of that particular innovation. Now, clearly, this is not as linear a process as might be suggested by the way I've drawn it. It depends on, it's iterative. It depends on us approaching this in a way that we understand all the complex interactions between the actors and components here. And we also need to understand how we get the flows of information to allow the best decisions to be made at the best possible time. So if we accept this as a structure for thinking about how we support and encourage innovators to develop and deploy their good ideas, what I'd like to do with the time I have remaining is to focus on one aspect of this, and that's specifically the role of test and demonstration in enabling innovation. It's one of the enabling conditions referred to here. Now, I know this is an area of interest and endeavor that we share with the team here at Harwell. So we believe that test and demonstration plays a key role, an essential role, in fact, in expediting the journey to net zero. And our work here is focused in our living lab. So what is our living lab? Well, it's an independent, digitally enabled facility that allows innovators to do four principal things. Firstly, they can test their innovation in a real-world operating environment. Secondly, they can move these innovations forward closer to commercialization by virtue of this facility providing a commercial context for their work. Thirdly, it allows them to work with others to achieve desired outcomes. And fourthly, it supports the process of raising money or investment to support their innovation. And that does that by providing evidence that helps mitigate risks associated with that innovation. All of this is in aid of the overarching objectives of growing businesses and hence the economy. And second objective here, of course, is to help government and the regulators in their work to understand what conditions would be helpful to enable and encourage innovation to happen and to happen successfully. Now, I don't propose to describe the living lab in any detail, but I would like to just illustrate that it comprises real people, real consumers in real homes interacting with the energy system. And as I illustrate here, it comprises a whole spectrum of technologies, from heating and cooling through to EVs and storage, other types of technologies that would be deployed in the energy system of both today and increasingly in the future. And it also serves a wide variety of users, those who want to provide services to consumers, those who manufacture devices, government regulators, and indeed the networks who will deliver energy to the consumer themselves. So what does it do for innovators? Well, again, I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail here, but from an innovator perspective, it serves the objective of addressing the question how to understand and create market pull and how to access and respond to it in a really effective way. It also allows the single innovator to work with others to understand how their innovations might helpfully work together, or what are the implications of the interactions between systems and technologies that are being deployed. From the policy perspective, the Living Lab provides a place where it's possible to gain an understanding of the interventions that are going to be needed and to do that in a safe space. So it gives the ability to explore potential risks and benefits, and importantly, to build an understanding of what it's going to mean for consumers, because ultimately they're the beneficiaries of what we're trying to achieve here together as we seek to achieve net zero. So taken together, we believe the Living Lab makes a really significant contribution to lowering the barriers to innovation and building that pipeline of innovation, not just the technologies, but also the business models, the policy, the regulation interventions that are going to be needed, to building that pipeline of innovation that's going to be needed to achieve net zero. My final and closing comments relate to how we can use the Living Lab with others. And the example I show here is work that we're currently discussing with the Power Network Demonstration Center in Strathclyde. And here what we're doing is we're connecting the learning from the Living Lab directly to the measurement of network interventions and impacts. And so what we're able to do is better answer the questions such as, what are the real implications of EV take-up on networks? What are the real implications of deploying flexibility in the system? And the idea here is to combine the strengths of the two facilities to different aspects of the same problem to achieve much more powerful insights and outcomes leading to more effective action. Now, I think there's great potential to explore similar thinking with the Living Lab work happening here at Harwell. I hope that we'll be able to do so. So with that, I'd like to say thank you once again for providing me the opportunity to be here today. I would welcome the opportunity to discuss any aspect of our work with you and look forward to doing so sometime in the near future. Thank you.